Hey y'all, welcome to the Filling Station. It's a new day, another opportunity to either make money in this market or to just learn from the market. But first, y'all, let me give my disclaimer. I am not a financial advisor. I just enjoy teaching people how to build generational wealth. And yes, the stock market is just one of those avenues. So this video is for educational purposes only. If you could please like, share, comment, subscribe, because we learn and we grow together. With that being said, y'all, let's get started. So the first one on the list today is Tesla, and this is the 5-minute chart. Y'all know I like to look at the 30-minute chart. Why? Because it tells me a story. I like to read. Tesla closed at 285.88. It has been trading in this gathering spot here. It looks as if this area up to 87.04 has been a kind of strong support area for us. Well, guess what? We broke past that. Now it is a strong resistance area for us. So that 287.04, should we break back above that, back to the upside, we could possibly have trouble again to 88.81. Breaking that level, 289.73, again 291.11, breaking that 292.72, and again here at the 293.50, breaking that 293.50, we could possibly get back to this 294.95 for Tesla. So if you're trading Tesla today, those are kind of areas to the upside. Again, breaking that 294.95 area, we could possibly have trouble again, 297.59. So if you're trading Tesla today, those are kind of your resistance areas as of now, right? So back to the downside, breaking under this level here of, let's say, 284.99. Should we break that? You can see price came back. Let me see if I can make that a little bit bigger. Price came back to this area here, so I would watch that 284.35. Breaking that brings us back to where it bounced off of this ATR trail and stop, which is kind of close to very close to an area that I had marked, 283.35. So I would definitely watch that. So let's say if it break under 284.99, we could possibly find support back down here again at the 283.35. Breaking that brings us back to 282.22, and if we should break that, 280.84. Breaking that level, 279.70, and if we should break that, 279.03. Breaking that 279.03, 277.40. could be a support place, and if we should lose that area, 276.30, breaking that brings us back to 274.62. So if you're trading Tesla today, those are kind of areas to the upside and to the downside, and y'all know in this market anything is possible, so it could very well go in either direction today. What's interesting, it seems like it's it's trading sideways in my opinion. So SPY, we're now looking at the SPY. It kind of looks like Tesla's chart. Interesting, right? So the SPY closed at 550.80 spot, 4 o'clock candle. Well, this is our 6:30 candle here, and it dropped down, found support at this ATR trail and stopped. So if you're trading the SPY today, let's look and see where trouble places or resistance areas. Back to the upside, it will need to get back above 551.12. Breaking that, we could possibly have trouble again somewhere around the 551.73. Breaking that, 552.16, again at 552.70. Should we break this 552.70 area here, we could possibly have trouble again around the 553.29. Should we break that area, 553.68, and again at 554.12, breaking that 554.12 for the SPY, which is here, we could possibly have trouble again at the 555.19 area. So if you're trading the SPY today, those are possible rejection areas. Now back to the downside, let's say we break under this area that's holding us up as of now is around the 550.56. Breaking that, we could possibly have support around 550.27. Breaking that brings us back to this ATR trail and stop at 549.61. And y'all know, in my opinion, that's strong support or strong resistance. So I would definitely watch that 549.61. Should we break that level, we can come back to this level that stopped us before at the 549.16. But looking at the SPY on this 30-minute chart, there's a few layers of support here. So breaking this level of the 549.16, we have 549.01. And there's a few layers from the 548.81 down to the 548.60. 68. Again, I look at support and resistance on a smaller scale because when I'm in the trade, I kind of want to know where my possible trouble places are. So there's been a few layers here before. So breaking this level of 548.68, we can come back to the 548.44. So if you're trading the SPY today, those are kind of areas to the upside and to the downside. I'm going to say if we break the ATR trail and stop here at the 549.61, it would not surprise me to see us back at this 544.98. And I need to give my disclaimer for the SPY and Tesla charts because I've been charting them for a long time. I really might need to clean them up just a little bit, but it works for me, right? So we are now looking at AMD. We closed at $96.39. It too kind of looks like the SPY and Tesla, right? Bouncing off of this ATR trail and stop. That is strong support in my opinion, right? Where are the trouble places back to the upside? We would need to get back above $96.18. Should we break that, keep in mind there's some moving averages here, as with the the SPY with some moving averages that could have very well stopped us out here. But my next level of resistance I have at the $96.71, breaking that 97.09, and should we break that 97.69, breaking that 97.69, we could possibly have trouble again around the 98.66. So if you're trading AMD today, those are possible rejection areas. Now back to the downside, price is holding us here for a reason, right at the 95.88. Breaking that brings us back to this level of 95.68, which I have this level here of 95.60, not very far, right? So breaking this 95.60 area, we could very well come back to around 95.02, and if we should break that, price was here. So I would say around 94.41, breaking that area. Y'all see where the 200 EMA and a level that I have marked at 94.08. That could be a support area for us. So if you're trading AMD today, those are just kind of areas to the upside and to the downside. And y'all know I say so often, in this market, anything is possible, right? So we are looking at Meta. We closed at 549.74. It too, it seems like the same, right? Trading sideways, finding support only to bounce up. Moving average 550 and 20 is, could be a rejection area for us. So where are the trouble places for Meta, right? Back to the upside, 549.89. Again, those moving averages could stop us out there. And the next level I have marked for resistance, 552.16. Breaking that level, we have the ATR trail and stop 554.24. Not far from an area I have marked at the 554.50. So that's very, very close, right? So if we should break that level, in my opinion, strong resistance, 557.07 is within reach. Breaking that level, we can come back to 559.01. Now back to the downside, under 548.20, we can find support here at 546.13. Breaking that, we could very well come back to around 543.09, and should we break that, I have another very close 542.29. Breaking that brings us back to around 540.66, and if we should break that for Meta, 539.79 is our 200 EMA as of now on this 30-minute chart. So if you are trading Meta today, those are kind of areas to the upside and to the downside. Again, y'all, not financial advice. Now, we are now looking at Netflix. We closed at $1,110.38. Netflix is interesting. If you get in at the right time, it could be a very profitable trade, let's say that. And it kind of just moves differently. It's just something that I've been studying for few years, and it just moves differently. Let me say that. So where are the trouble places for Netflix, right? So it seems like it's kind of doing the exact same thing. Support is around 1105.70. breaking that brings us back to 1103.51. Breaking that brings us back to around 1101.12. if we should break that, 1099.03, and if we should break that level, it brings us back to 1095.75. breaking that brings us back to 1092.92. should we break that, 1087.86. Now back to the upside, I will use the moving averages here. Back to the upside, breaking, if we should break beyond the 1107.70. I think it's these additional numbers here. 1107.70, we could possibly, have trouble again at 1109.80. Breaking that, we could possibly have trouble 1113.15. Breaking that brings us back to the 1116.34. So if you are trading Netflix today, I say trade carefully, y'all. In this market, it is interesting. I'm just moving to a higher time frame just to see if I have any other thing, because Netflix is just interesting, right? So if you're trading Netflix today, those are kind of areas to the upside and to the downside, and possible rejection areas. I say trade carefully, right? Let's look at NVIDIA just to see where we are today. We closed at 108.73, and it too looks almost like the SPY, the Tesla, and the AMD, right? So sideways, down, found support, moving back up. Those moving averages are going to be our resistance areas, or we could use as resistance areas. So as of now, where are the trouble places for NVIDIA? To the upside, it will need to get back above this, let's say the 5 EMA first, 108.24, and then there's a few layers here at 108.52. Breaking that, we could possibly have trouble 108.79. Again here at 109.01, and if we should break that, 109.17, and beyond that, we could possibly have trouble 109.36, which is the ATR trailing stop. And y'all see price was here, so we definitely need to be careful in that area. Should we break this level, we could very well come back to around 109.70. Breaking that brings us back to 109.87. Now to the downside for NVIDIA, for some reason, I'm going to see if I can mark this, y'all, without messing. You're given a different view, let's say that. So as of now, price has been in this area here. This is a support area for us, as we can see it here and we see it here. So this is a support place for us at 108.01. Should we break that level, we can come back to the 107.67. Breaking that brings us back to around 107.14. And if we should break that, it could possibly find support again at 106.96. Now, should we break that 106.96, we could very well come back to around 106.44 for NVIDIA. So if that is something that you trade today, y'all know I say just trade carefully, because anything is possible. I did see a few inside day candles for today. Kroger is one of those. If by chance we break above $70.76, we have an upside target of $71.57. Now to the downside, under $69.53. Downside target $69.22. So if you're trading Kroger or KR, it is an inside day candle. MU is also an inside day candle today above $79.67. We have an upside target of $80.37. Now to the downside, under $76.97, we have a downside target for MU at $76.86. So if MU is something that you trade today, it is an inside day candle. I believe T or AT&T is also an inside day candle for today above 27.27, upside target 27.53. To the downside, under 26.79, we have a downside target of 26.62. So if that's something that you trade today, I say trade carefully. Let's look at the VIX today just to see where we are. I kind of look at the VIX because it kind of gives me an idea of what's going on with the SPY. So the VIX came down, found some support here at this level here around the 24.64. We are, looks like this is our support. We're moving up. Now, we definitely, if by chance we break back above this candle high here, we could possibly have trouble in this area here, which is around the 25.67. So breaking this 25.67, we can possibly come back up to the level of 26.01 and have some trouble. Breaking that 26.01, in my opinion, it's going to be strong resistance. We could possibly have trouble somewhere around the 26.40. Normally when the VIX goes up, the SPY comes down. So that's something to be mindful of. Normally, again, anything is possible. Nothing is guaranteed. So for to the downside, breaking this level here of 24.64 for the VIX, meaning we've broken through a strong level of support, we can continue declining. The next level I have is 24.29, and under that I have around the 23.69. So those, again, I look at the VIX because it kind of gives me an idea of the SPY normally. Let's say that. So I'm going to go back to the SPY just to see where we are. And yes, So this area is still holding us up here at the $50 and 550. Did I say $50? 550, 56 is our support area for the SPY. Just keep in mind, breaking that 550 area, 550.18, 550 area, we could very well come back to the 549.61. So again, y'all, this is what I see when I look at the market. There's so many different ways to trade, so many different ways to trade the market, and what's challenging sometimes is trying to figure out what works best for you and making sure that you have the discipline to, to do what you know to do, right? So again, I hope that everyone have a very profitable and a very, very productive day. And I always encourage you to make sure you set your stop losses or whatever it is that you choose to use, and make sure that you can execute your plan. I always say live to trade another day, right? So until next time, y'all be blessed as well as a blessing unto others.